Hello, Dr. Cox. Glad to see you're with us today. Dr. Cox, can you hear me? Testing, testing. Can anyone hear me?
Good evening. I can hear you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, now can you hear me?
I can, Dr. Cox.
Good evening. I had to come out and come back in.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Long as you're here. Do you have a PowerPoint or are you just going to be speaking to us tonight?
I have a presentation as well.
Okay.
Do you want me to send it to you?
No. I'm going to give you co-hosting rights in a second
Okay.
so that you can do what you need to do. Okay, so in a few minutes, we'll get started. Let people come in.
Precious thing. Oh, when you're, yes, when you're, thank you, Jesus. If there is all I need. In this whole world, you know,
Hello, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Ward 7 Education Council meeting. I am Marla Dean, and we're going to get started. We always try and start with a little bit of music to celebrate the theme of the month. And the theme of this month, of course, is Black History Month. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we want to celebrate Black History Month. It is indeed the first day of 2024. Time is not waiting for anyone. So there's a lot to get to and a lot to accomplish. As people continue to come in, we're going to get started. We're excited to with our agenda tonight. It starts with hearing from Dr. Donnell Cox Jr., the principal at Kelly Miller Middle School, one of our two middle schools, DCPS middle schools in our ward. Then we'll hear from Kelvin Brown, who's the Ward 7 candidate for DC Council. We'll then hear from Villareal Johnson, who is also a Ward 7 candidate for DC Council. We'll have our standard State Board of Education updates from our Ward 7 representative and the State Board of Education President, Eboni-Rose Thompson. We'll conclude with announcements. And we don't think we'll go over, actually, we'll probably end a little early today, but we shall see. With that, I want to begin to remind everyone that you can find all of Ward 7 Education Council meetings on YouTube. At the end of the meeting, you can pull out your phones and subscribe to our YouTube channel and share all that you hear and learn about our schools and about candidates who seek to represent us in Ward 7. All of it is uploaded to our YouTube channel. So, welcome, Dr. Cox. So excited to have you in the house and to tell us about Kelly Miller. If you could, I'm going to stop sharing so that you can share. Introduce yourself, tell us what you want us to know, and the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you. Good evening. I don't have the rights to share yet.
You don't yet?
No, it's not hold on, let me see. Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, I have to change. Hold on. Let me. Let's see.
There you are.
All right, hold on. My screen looks a little different. Okay, can you see now? All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I am the proud principal here at Kelly Miller, the pride of the city. Really good to hear some candidates speaking tonight for Ward 7 Council. I do want to hear about all of those things. We do work in connection with each other. We're serving, there are only two Ward 7 public schools, that's Kelly Miller and Sousa. So we are two schools that serve in the same community in a sense. So tonight I'm just going to go over a brief overview of where we are in Kelly Miller and where we're standing. I always tell people when people say different things about Kelly Miller, I say, how do you know? So I always ask, just ask me. I don't mind telling you. I I was an assistant principal here for several years, and now I've been the principal here for 2 years. So I really do love the community, and try to do everything I can do in my power to continue to help it grow. Um, so last year we changed the mission and vision of the school. So this is our vision, which is we're a model school in DC where we're cultivating productive citizens. And we do that through family engagement, extracurricular activities, and data-informed decisions based upon the needs of the whole child. So what we're ultimately saying is instruction is always important, but what is so it's more to the kid more than instruction. So we got to really reach everything about the kid, and trying to help them grow within as they're developing. And we said we do that through our mission, which is really through inspiration, motivation, and education. So everything that what we attempt to do here at Kelvin Miller with our scholars is, are we cultivating, and then if we're cultivating productive citizens, how are we doing it through those main things? So we did a lot of work around revamping our mission and vision last year, which we're really having a great time implementing those things this year. This is our creed that we recite every morning. My eighth graders recite it, and since we've had recently increase of Hispanic students, we do have a day where we do this in Spanish, so everyone is really included. And what it really does is it teaches our children, sportsmanship. It teaches them to, have those core values that they really need, and we have to really repeat and really go over every day so they'll help, get within them. So this is our creed that we recite, so all of our kids know, all of our staff know as well. It's a part of who we are. Our theme this year is Forging a Path of Excellence, the Kelvin Miller Experience, where we're collaborating, communicating, and calibrating. So everything that we have implemented this year, that is what we are setting a path to do. Okay. Some of our accomplishments, we met all of our goals in the CSP. The CSP is the comprehensive school plan. Last year it was the first time that Kelvin Miller had 76% of students who met their growth goals on RI. RI is the reading inventory.
Dr. Cox, I don't want to interrupt you, but your screen is not advancing with your talk. So I just want to make sure.
Oh,
if
really?
you are,
Can you see
yeah,
that?
no, it's not advancing. I don't know. I think the information that you're,
Hold on. Let's see. Okay, it says your screen is sharing is paused. Okay. Let's see. Let me stop sharing and go back to share.
no problem.
Let's see. Hold on one moment.
And if it's easier to send it to me and I advance for you, I'm willing to do that too. I can play assistant.
Oh no, hold on. Let's see.
Not a problem at all.
Hold on. Hold on, let me pull it back up. Okay. Oh no, there you go, right here. Okay. Sorry, y'all.
That's all right. Don't. We're okay.
Okay.
So I don't know if you go right to the top where it says slideshow, and see if you can, it was showing slideshow at the very top bar. I don't see it now. So I think you're gonna have, yeah, right there, slideshow, right there. Would that
Yeah.
allow you, if you click that, will allow you to do the full screen from current slide? Yep, if you hit that, you see where it says current slide on the left-hand side
The
at the top?
it just say resume share. What do you see now on your screen?
I see from current slide, I think if you hit that button at the top, your cursor is almost on it. If you just move it over a little to the left, at least what we're saying from our view.
Let's see. Let me do this.
Now we got it. Now it's
Okay.
open. Yep, excellent. You're there.
Okay. All
Wonderful.
right.
Okay.
All right. So you can see the accomplishments.
Yeah, but I would go back a few slides so that people couldn't hear what you were saying.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah, no problem.
So
Yep.
this is our mission, our vision, I'm sorry. This is our vision, where we're cultivating productive citizens through family engagement, extracurricular activities, and data-informed decisions. We're doing that through our mission, where we do that through inspiration, motivation, and education. This is our creed that we recite every morning. The kids learn it in the beginning of the year. And we continue on with implementing this throughout the year. And I'll leave it up for just a moment if you can see our creed. Our theme this year is Forging a Path of Excellence, the Kelly Miller experience, where we are collaborating, communicating, and calibrating. And that's through all of the decision-making process throughout the school year. Our accomplishments, we met all of our goals in the CSP. The CSP is the Comprehensive School Plan from last year. This was the first time the school had 76% of students who met their growth goal on reading inventory. We had a first time where 80% of students met their growth goal on iReady, which is math. We did have a 6% of increase of students who they feel loved in the school. 85% of students that are re-enrolled. We did have a partner and volunteers to come and renovate our cafeteria. So this year we do have a new cafeteria space. It looks really, really wonderful, where it's new colors on the wall. It's a new mirror on the wall. It's actually a guy that is from Southeast that did the mirror on the wall. And we have physical tables and chairs, so students don't have to necessarily sit at the tables and chairs that we had before. Was really centered around elementary. So some of our larger kids did have trouble with that, and they were old and those type of things. So we did replace that. It looks really, really good. More than welcome to come and see it at any time. One of the largest accomplishments, we did score a 31 on the school report card, and that was a 25-point gain from 6 to 31. So I'm very, very proud. 31 is still low, it's still out of 100, but to have a 25-point gain in 1 year just shows that what we are doing is really progressing well with the students. I always like to share, just east of the river, their scores compared to what we're doing, to show that, what we're really doing, it does work. And then I added some of the charter schools that's in the area as well. Sometimes some people think that, charter schools sell a good sale, but what you see that they're not performing really off or really off from where we are. The east of the River Public Middle Schools, we are our score is higher. One of the things that I really love about Kelly Miller is our connected schools model. So we do have a plethora of partners, and I'm thankful for 98% of our partners are funded through other resources. So they do come in the building and do different things with our kids, different groups, attendance, or academics, or and sometimes it's the whole child. So we do have a lot of our partners that are here every day. We do have some of our partners that are here 2 to 3 times out of the week. And then all of our partners does lunch groups. So students can really get out that SEL part that they really need to get out. And these are middle school kids, so a lot of things happen over social medias and all of those things. So those are the times that we try to work it all out. This year we have several partners that are just full-time every day in the building. So that really helps the kids cope with the different social and emotional learning that they really need. And some of the partners only offer services to boys or offer to girls, but many of our partners do offer boys and girls. You can see a list of those that's in there. So our opportunities, and there's a lot of different things that we do offer here. We do offer advanced ELA and math per grade. We also offer ELA and math acceleration per grade. So that's to help close those gaps that students come to middle school with. We do offer the world language class so they can really get the high school credit. We started offering gaming so students know how to create games and do those things. We do have student government, ELA and math tutoring. We have band this year, full out band, cheerleading, basketball, track, volleyball, soccer, and this year we have a full restorative justice program where students come and students lead mediations and lead restorative circles to really get out whatever the problem they may be having. And we do a lot of dress down days. This was one of our spirit weeks, and this is about 3/4 of the staff, where we did a blackout, and the kids got to wear black, and they really love to wear black, and had a really good time. So that is us in a nutshell. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Dr. Cox, I want to thank you for coming, and we'll take questions. Please put them in the chat, and you can also raise your hand and I will recognize you and you can ask directly. But I want to go back to the slide where you talked about your school report card in relation to charter schools. Here at Ward 7 Education Council, we are committed to all Ward 7 schools, but we are particularly committed to the by right schools because we believe those are the schools that every child has an opportunity to go to. They don't have to get into a lottery or any way. And so we have to protect and make sure those schools are well-resourced and that they have what they need, the programming, the supports, and the infrastructure, the capital improvements. So we often get criticized because of that, but the fact of the matter is that's the school that every child has a right to go to, and we need to protect that right and make sure it's well-resourced. In that, I'm excited that you shared that information because many people believe that some schools are outperforming our neighborhood schools. And I really think that's a really important conversation we need to understand and have, because a lot of times our neighborhood schools are working against an image, and other schools don't have that same image concern. So I wanted just to acknowledge that. I happen to be on the school boundary committee, and this is one of the arguments we're making every day to make sure that East of the River schools are resourced programmatically and otherwise, like West of the River schools. So I just wanted to highlight that. And now I'm over my commentary.
If I may, I continue to say that anytime anyone talk to me, and I sell Kelly Miller. This is where I am, and this is where I love to be. But I started out the conversation was I want to make sure people know what the truth is, and the data is the data, and I don't know what the data is going to be this year, but I know what it was based upon where we are now. So it is often a myth or a perception of who we think the school is. And that's not necessarily true. When people come in to visit, they say, oh, well, I just thought somebody was going to be running down the hall. Like, no, kids are in class. No, this is not it. And yes, every school has their challenges, and our challenges it comes within the community. But the kids do well within the school.
So thank you. And so with that, I want to open up any any questions. So there's a question around, first of all, someone made a comment, Dwayne Carr, about the connected schools model, the importance of that, and that they love it. And so we know that that provides a full range of supports, wraparound services, a whole child approach. So, and then we also have someone asking, can you tell us a little bit about teacher retention? What are you experiencing with teacher retention? And what would improve teacher retention, do you think?
So right now we're in a good spot with teacher retention. I did start off the year with no teacher vacancies, so that was really good. I One of the teacher vacancies that we have right now, it started off the employee was on workman's comp and recently resigned. So
Okay.
that left that vacancy. And then I had a teacher that resigned during pre-service. So
Okay.
that kind of left that open. But we had all of our teacher vacancies filled, and we still do now, except for those two positions.
Okay.
What I found that has helped is the additional money that I received in June. A lot of that money I spent on staff wellness. So the some of the negative things around I guess the challenges is there's nothing really around in this area. When you go out of Ivy Wells or McFarland, you see different restaurants, you see different stores, and so we have to create those type of things so people, staff really love coming to work because I do different things of come 15 minutes late, or just certain things that I have direct control over, that staff really appreciate. And those things I work around to try to do that. I'm very huge on including everyone. So when people feel like they are heard, that brings it back to what we're really doing.
So I think that's a really interesting point that you raise, Dr. Cox, around just not just the culture and climate in the school, but the overall amenities that any particular area that attracts staff to certain areas. And so I think we need to think about that as we think about teacher retention so narrowly, and we're not factoring in all the things that make, teachers are humans, right? And like we make decisions on where we want to go to work along a lot of different reasons. Teachers do the same thing. So they're weighing a lot of different factors and determining which school they want to go to and if they want to remain. So I think that's just something that we don't lift enough. Okay, are there other questions anyone may have? Well, I have a question.
Okay, go
Um,
ahead.
What do you really think is the biggest misperception of Kelly Miller that you know is not true and that you want to take this moment to clarify and ask everyone to never repeat again or to spread again?
I can say a lot of things, right? I just want I want the community as well is to not just assume when something happens that it's a Kelly Miller kid. Just because Kelly Miller sits on 49th Street and everyone knows this and the different neighborhoods that surround things and the different things that go on in it. When oftentimes when there is a teenager that is involved, it is automatically a Kelly Miller student. And that has not necessarily been true a lot of times once we get down to it. And then I'm so invested in it, there could really be a Kelly Miller kid then because I'm invested because when someone says like, hey, a Kelly Miller student did something, I'm going to like, okay, what do you know? I'm gonna pull that student. I'm going to redirect the student as well if they really did it. But if they did not do it, so I want us to kind of change that perception. I'll give you this example. I had someone moved over here on 47th Street, and she doesn't have a middle school kid. She have a elementary kid, but the first day, some kids walked up to her, a ring cam, and they tried to rob her or whatever. And she had pictures on the ring cam. So then the next morning, they came back and she was warmed up her car or something. And they walked in the house. It's like a big deal. So she called MPD, and MPD said, "Oh, those are Kelly Miller kids." So she came up here to see if we can call the parents and things like that. And long story short, they was not Kelly Miller kids. And I actually called in several different people in without them talking to another person for her to know, like, these are not Kelly Miller kids. And I wasn't mad at her, but what I'm frustrated about is there's several schools in this area, but it was automatically those are Kelly Miller kids. And I think that is what the narrative a lot of times goes around when people, make those assumptions. And that's what I really want to take away. And the other thing I would say as well is I want the the virtue of our parents are not involved out because our parents are involved. I just don't have parents that want to come and sit in a meeting, but I can text any parent, I can call any parent, and 90% of the parents I talk to. And I send a weekly newsletter home who actually opens and read them. And we have a little bit over 300 kids right now, and I get a little bit over 250 that opens my emails every Sunday. So parent involvement, it looks different, but our parents are involved. But we don't have parents that's fighting out in front of the school. We don't like, yes, you may have a parent that comes in that wants to address a situation that may be upset about something, they have to de-escalate, but our parents do really care about our kids. And I think it's a misconception of, oh, the parents are just not involved.
I want to thank you for saying that because we have a perception of what parent engagement looks like. And we draw conclusions that are not accurate about our parents. So we need to think about why some parents have the freedom to come to school, the luxury, the resources, all those things, and others don't. But that does not mean that they care any less about their children or any less concerned about or want to know what's going on with their children. So I thank you for clarifying that. There is a question. Can you talk more about your academic offerings and in your after school program? So you talked about the Connected Schools model, but can you tell more about the academic programs and what could a Kelly Miller student do after school? You spoke about it, but I want you to emphasize those two things if you can.
Absolutely. So right now, all of our students have the opportunity to take advanced ELA and math. The inner core classes, they're uncohorted, meaning that students don't have to go to the classes they don't want, they get to choose. So that student voice is really, really, really important. So right now they can choose from medical detectives, and medical detectives, that's where you're looking at forensics and the people that investigate different crimes and that happens. They can choose band, they can choose world language, which is Spanish, they can choose art, and they can choose computer tech, which is the gaming program. Because the law in DC, every student has to take PE and health. That's the other inner core class they get to take. So they don't have a choice on that one, but they get to choose the other one. And then their other classes are the 4 content areas, but we have an acceleration day. So we're on a block schedule. So ELA and math, they see ELA and math teachers every day. And one day it's acceleration and one day is content, so we can kind of close those gaps that they're having and still give them great level content. This year we changed the acceleration from intervention because intervention wasn't getting us to proficiency. So acceleration allows us to take the gap that they're missing and apply it to grade level to really get them to proficient.
So
Oh.
you said a few things in there, and
Mhm.
I understood the language you were speaking. I want to make sure everyone did. When you said that they are uncohorted and that
Okay.
they can go to any class they want, someone might be hearing that they can pick and choose what classes they're going to. I think what you're saying is in the middle school model, normally you're put in a cohort, you travel with that all through the day. You have
Mhm.
to go to this, what they used to call, some people called it creative, and
It's
special.
called inner core here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all of those. And what you're saying is that the young people at Kelly Miller, just because they're in a particular cohort or they're uncohorted, they can choose what electives they choose to sign up for. Is that a correct understanding of what you're saying?
That is correct. And next year, just so everyone to know, we're uncohorting their core content as well. So core content is ELA, math, science, and social studies to really focus on the data. So for instance, a student could be accelerated in reading, but not in math. So that will not make them have to take that both of those paths just because they're accelerated in one. So now that we have a really set culture within the building where kids can really go to the next class, because it's really a high school schedule with middle school kids. Now that we have that kind of a tone in the building, kids know, okay, now I got to just go over here. They don't have to really be cohorted, and it really gives student that voice of choosing, hey, I want to be in this accelerated class, or I don't want to be in this accelerated, and get to choose their inner core. And the other part to the question that you asked me earlier was the after school programming. We have higher achievement. And higher achievement does the SEL, which is social and emotional learning, and they do curriculum based as well. And we applied for another one, but we didn't get it. We are looking to bring some other after school programming. The problem with after school programming that we've encountered is not many people are working for nonprofits anymore. So like the people, the organization may be there, but having the people to come in and provide and want to come to a middle school and then want to come to a Kelvin Miller middle school and want, it's just not been a a heavy sale to have people to come in to want to give back to kids. We do try to take up with that with sports. Our kids really do love sports. I applied for football. I was denied and I appealed, and I still don't want, I have coaches in my building. I do have kids that really want to play. So that is still going to be my ask for this year, for next year as well.
Thank you for letting us know about that need. The other thing, and this is the last question, so I want to thank you for your time. You've been very gracious. Is you said you don't do intervention, you do acceleration, and I find that so important because you've moved from a deficit lens to a strength lens. And so you're saying that when you were using more of a deficit model, you were not reaching proficiency, and you feel moving to this strength-based model is helping you reach proficiency more. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So, and it's all in the mindset as well.
Yeah.
Prime example, if a student is on a kindergarten reading level, they're not going to be at a sixth grade reading level at the end of the year, right? But if we are if we're teaching them the phonics and the foundational things to learn how to read, and we're still exposing them to grade level content, then we can possibly get them from kindergarten to fourth grade in a year.
Mhm.
So that is truly the take on it. And we're even modifying, as we go, as we look at the middle of the year data and say, oh, well, these kids have met their growth here, or they're growing at this rate, and how can we even shift to even get them to increase their capabilities within it. And another way around that is, another entity to that is the kids knowing their data. When a kid scores 200, they're thinking that's really good, but that's really first grade. So, getting kids to truly understand what the data is stating too, it helps them to motivate them to really, see what I really need to do to improve.
So I want to thank you. I think that's really important. You're saying one of the differences in an intervention class is you're rarely exposed to on grade level content. And in this model, you are, even though you are giving the supports necessary to make that content accessible, and it's making a big difference. I want to thank you, Dr. Cox, for coming to Ward 7 Education Council. Please keep in contact with us. Please let us know how we can support. Please let us know how and when and what we need to advocate for your school and your children in our community. So thank you, and I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
your time.
Thank
Okay,
you. I appreciate the opportunity.
have a good one.
You too.
You're welcome to stay. You don't have to go, but just
I have
saying.
been at Kelly Miller since 7:30 this morning.
Well, go home. Okay, please go home. Okay, thank you much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
So I want to continue our conversations tonight with Ward 7, a candidate for Ward 7 DC Council, Kelvin Brown. He is the chair of ANC 7B. He's not coming to us in person. He and I had our meeting earlier and this week, and so I'm going to play it. I want you to know that Ward 7 Education our goal for 24 is to inform the community on education issues. This is not a debate, it's not a discussion. We've had many candidates come thus far. We've had one come for the last 3 or 4 months. Two come for the last 3 or 4 months, including at-large candidates. And so they all get the same question. They have an opportunity to answer. We don't debate it. We don't discuss it. It is a level setting so that everyone can have an understanding of where our candidates fall on educational issues. So with that being said, I am going to play the video from Mr. Brown. Hold on one second, please. And So let me share. Okay, and please listen. This is Kelvin Brown. Okay, welcome, Commissioner Kelvin Brown. Welcome to the Ward 7 Education Council 24 for 24. Just want to remind you that there's no debate or discussion. We just ask 5 questions, get your answers to those 5 questions. And we thank you for coming to the Ward 7 Education Council and sharing with us what your ideals are about education. So with that being said, let's begin with question number 1. Why are you running for Ward 7 council member? And in that question, introduce us to you, tell us a little bit about you, and then conclude with why you're running for Ward 7 council member.
Gotcha. So you're adding more to the question for me. Well, good evening, and thank you so much for hosting this very important conversation, and much so kudos to the Ward 7 Education Council for putting on this 24 for 24, very innovative. And thank you also for the work that the organization continues to do to move education forward for many of our residents across east of the river. My name is Kelvin Brown. I'm a Hillcrest resident, and every day when I speak to neighbors, either on the phones or at their doorsteps, the sentiment remains the same. They are fearful that crime is devastating our community, our way of life. Unemployment is up 13 points across the above the national average here in Ward 7. Home ownership continues to remain unattainable for so many families that want to be Washingtonians. Our schools continue to be and receive less funding year over year, and even some schools are on the verge of being closed down altogether. And now we're not even going to talk about access to healthcare, because our communities have to travel 30, 45 minutes outside of their immediate communities just to get access to quality, safe, affordable healthcare. And so these are some of the points that I hear from our neighbors. And so they're looking to our community leaders for answers, and just a simple response that it's going to be okay. We're moving in the right direction. And so we've reached a point to where words by themselves are just not enough. They're looking for answers from us. And so on November the 13th, I filed to run for the Ward 7 council member seat, because I truly understand and know that our neighbors deserve a council member who is going to keep our communities first, make sure our communities are safe, and make sure that we have every resource available in our toolkit to make sure that our neighbors live their best lives right here in Washington, D.C. in Ward 7. And I believe that I am that candidate. I know that I am that candidate, and I'll continue to work to advance the goals of all of our community members.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. So let's continue on that vein. What distinguishes you from the field?
Great question. Thanks for asking. Well, the first thing I would say is that my journey is no different than many of the journeys of our neighbors across Ward 7, agnostic to neighborhood. I grew up in a single family home with 7 brothers in a 2-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. So you can understand that we had a very chaotic situation happening in our household. And my mother always played referee when she was available to do so. And so because of the love and support that I had in my home, although we lacked financial resources, I was able to join the military at the age of 17, graduate and receive a presidential scholarship to Alabama State University, and become the first person in my family to not only receive an undergraduate degree, but also a master's of business administration degree, and ultimately being accepted at UC Berkeley in their executive leadership program currently. And when I finished my tour of duty and I got back home after serving, I really realized that the front lines were right in our classrooms. So I had the opportunity to hang up my boots, go into classrooms, teach algebra and geometry, and receive some pretty notable awards along the way, because I had a passion about mentoring our youth and making sure that they were on the right trajectory towards success. And so I did that for almost 5 years. And for the last 11 years, I've been working as a senior leader with Fannie Mae specifically focused around housing policies and racial equity in housing that will make home ownership a reality for families across the nation, Black and Latino families. And that's what I continue to do. And now in my volunteer role as an ANC and second term elected chairperson for ANC 7B, I continue to work in a very grassroots fashion. We're solving the everyday problems of neighbors across Ward 7 beyond ANC 7B's commission area. So I would say if anything that distinguishes me in my years of service to the community is passion, drive, and results.
Thank you for that. I'm going to forgive you for going to Alabama State. My dad went to Alabama and
Okay, they're in the swag.
We'll
We'll deal with that.
Okay, I just want to say that, but no, seriously, I have so much family in Alabama, and just like half of the state is Alabama, half is Auburn, half is Alabama State, and half is Alabama A&M. So it's all family to me. With that being said, what experience do you have with education or education policy?
This is a fun question. I was right in the classroom. I taught algebra and geometry for almost 5 years. So I met the parents every morning. I interacted with the students in the morning. I met them when they were groggy, they didn't want to be there, but it was my job as an educator to make sure that I transitioned them from their home life to school life to get them ready for instruction, right? And be with them on their educational journey from the time the bell rang in the morning, when the buses arrived, to the time the buses arrived and we were able to dismiss class. I put together IEPs for our special needs students. I worked on curriculum for the whole school. So I have an extensive track record of being in the classroom, developing IEPs, developing lesson plans, taking money out of my own pocket to support the needs of our kids, to make sure that they had every resource to be the best version of themselves inside the classroom, as well as outside when they went home. And so, you know, one of the things when we talk about education, it's both a pride and joy moment for me, but it's also a sad moment for me in the fact that I had to make one of the hardest decisions in my adult life when I was in education. That was simply, I had to make a decision between feeding my family and putting food and bringing clothing home for not only my family, immediate family, but also my extended family, and staying with the profession that I love to do, which is teaching. And many educators have to do the same, and that's not fair. And we should be above that point where we are right now.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experiences with education. So with that being said, what is your education platform?
My battery's about to die. Let me get my cord here. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. We'll take a moment to let you do that.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Could you repeat the question for me?
Yes. What is your education platform?
My education platform is very, very simple. I want to make sure that we fully fund our schools to make sure that our kids have all the resources that are necessary so that they can be the best version of themselves, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. I want to make sure that school resource officers are back in the schools to make sure that our students are safe. They don't feel fearful, which precludes them from being fully available to receive educational instruction. I want to make sure that we have after-school programming that is free, high quality, and accessible to all families who either need it, want it, or seeks it out. I also want to expand pre-K 3 and 4 and make additional slots available for families that need it as well. Those are ambitious challenges. And then from a parent's perspective, because we know that parents interact with the school system on a daily basis, outside their job, that's probably the second most interaction they have. And so I want to make sure that there are parent resources available at the school to meet the needs of the parents as well. Because one thing we do know is that when parents bring their kids to school, they're bringing their whole self to school, them and their children. And so if we're able to provide those resources, that increases engagement, which increases how the child shows up in the classroom and their educational matriculation through the school system. And then lastly, this is very, very ambitious, I think, but we can make it happen, is that I want to exempt DC teachers from paying property taxes in the District of Columbia. So those are quick 6 points about what my education platform would be. And I think collectively we can work together to implement them to make education the best and brightest in the nation.
Thank you, thank you. So we're almost there, we're almost done. But with mayoral control, council members actually have limited power or authority over education in the district. So how do you plan to effectuate your education platform?
Well, first and foremost, we have to remove politics from education. And I'll say it again, we have to remove politics from education and allow our teachers and our administrators to do exactly what they do best and what they love to do. That's interact with our young people, provide instruction for them, and set the trajectory of their lives. And so what I would do on day one as a council member is work directly with my legislative director to convene a meeting of all engaged stakeholders across the ward who have a vested interest in improving our education system, to really vet this plan, to see what are the best practices, best elements of this plan that we can move forward. And interact with groups like the Ward 7 Education Council. Say, hey, look at these 6. Which ones you think will be the most impactful and add the most value? And from there, of course, the introduction of legislation, and we'll have a great name for it, and we will make sure that it's implemented, fully funded to support our schools and our teachers. And it'll be a great way to engage our communities, to make that we're sure we're collaborating, and it'll be a bright spot that we can coalesce around and bring the entire community together as one.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Brown, Kelvin Brown, for coming to the Ward 7 Education Council. And as we close out this 24 for 24, I just want to give you one last opportunity to say anything you would like to say in closing.
I would just say thank you so much for having me today. I think that this is a very awesome opportunity, very innovative. And just know that I am about getting results for the people. And at the end of the day, it's about making sure people have all the resources to be the best version of themselves where they want to live. And that's in the District of Columbia. So thank you so much for having me. Look forward to your partnership.
Okay, that is Commissioner Brown's presentation. And so we are ready to bring forth our second candidate this evening. And that is Mr. Villareal Johnson. He's the president of Hillcrest Community Association. He is also Ward 7 candidate for DC Council. And I'm going to stop sharing and pin you so that I want to make sure I'm pinning the right one. Okay, thank you. There you are. Welcome to the Ward 7 Education Council. How are you this evening?
Hey, Dr. Dean, I am fine. Can I just check in with you? How is the sound? I'm currently at the Howard University School of Dentistry in one of their lecture rooms. I just want to make sure that everybody in the audience can hear me.
I can hear you fine. I think I'm seeing fingers. Yep, we're good.
Good,
Okay?
good. All right.
Excellent. So are you ready to have this conversation?
Yeah, let's have it.
Okay.
I'm all about conversations, Dr. Dean. You know, I love conversations.
Okay. So let's start off with, introduce us to you, tell us about yourself, and then conclude that question. Well, first of all, I always like to set the ground rules. This is not a debate. This is not a discussion. These are the same questions every candidate gets asked. It's level setting. And so I want to make sure that that's the case. Did I lose you? I may have lost you. Nope, you're back. Great. So I want to make sure and set that expectation right out at the onset. With that, I want you to introduce us to yourself, tell us about yourself, and then conclude with telling us why you're running for Ward 7 council member. You're muted.
Look, it was real quick, because we're in the repast. The brothers here of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated are eating before our chapter meeting for the New Lambda Foundation. So let that be known. I am here and there at the same time, and very grateful for technology. Zoom has allowed us to do more. A little bit about me: VJ Villareal Johnson, simple guy, humble beginnings. I'm a dad, and I'm just committed to Ward 7. I have been committed to Ward 7 since arriving in Ward 7 almost over 2 decades ago. And I love Ward 7. Ward 7 has become home and family. While I'm a native Washingtonian, while I'm from Ward 8, and you know, Ward 7 is home, right? And I have been here. I have humble beginnings on the 2900 block of Nelson Place, which is at the corner of Minnesota, right where O'Connor's liquor store is, where I started just making a difference at the local level, at the block level. I'm proud that I can say I'm here as the president of the Hillcrest Community Civic Association, which is, when it comes to community service, something to celebrate and to be proud of. My dad's father is from Arthur Capers, right? And my dad grew up in Hillsdale in Ward 8. My mom grew up in foster care. Unfortunately, she lost her mom very early on to alcoholism. So when you look at families in the District of Columbia, you look at how progress occurs over time. And we believe wholly and strongly that if we could just move the needle forward for all people, that is what you can pray and hope for, that you move people along. Now, the question, why am I running? Simple. More for 7, more for Ward 7. For years, we have been building bridges and connecting people. And how we came to that building bridges and connecting people was simple. Councilmember Vincent Gray came into office 2005. His campaign slogan was making Ward 7 one, the unity message that swept him to become the mayor of the District of Columbia. As he transcended, he adjusted, he had a one city vibe, a one city message, and Councilmember Alexander took on the mantra of making Ward 7 one. The question though is how? How do we make Ward 7 one? Well, that's where building bridges and connecting people comes from. You gotta have a bold vision, and he had that with making Ward 7 one, the unity message. But how do you get so many people, so many different people to agree that unity is the cause? Well, you have to invest in what they need. You have to know and invest in what they want. And that's where we are, right? We are running this campaign of making Ward 7 one by building bridges and connecting people to what they need and want, so they can have the high level, enhanced quality of life and prosperity that they are entitled to as DC residents.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So with that being said, can you tell us what distinguishes you from the field?
Wow, this is a crowded field, they say, right? It's I think I'm one of 12, one of 13 maybe. But we look forward to the conversation. We look forward to the engagements. We look forward to the dialogues. We think it's good. We think it's good for the war. We celebrate everybody in the race. It's a lot of talent, a lot of skill, a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom, a range of diversity, from millennial to boomer. Ward 7 should be proud and thankful that so many people are up to the challenge of stepping in and stepping up to fill Councilmember Gray's shoes. Now, with that being said, I think one of the distinctions is that I know everybody in this race. Over the last 2 decades, I have worked with everybody in this race, and I will continue June 5th to work with everybody in this race. We have political relationships, we have personal relationships, we have social relationships, right? A couple of my neighbors are in the race, right? where we've worked together on projects to advance the cause of community and people. I think another thing that distinguished me is the longevity and commitment solely to Ward 7 people in Ward 7 communities. I didn't just get here, right? I've been here. I've been an ANC commissioner. I think that's another distinguishing quality. I'm the longest serving ANC commissioner to date that I know of currently, especially in this race. We have a lot of commissioners in this race, a lot of chairpersons. I've been a chair. I'm a 5-term commissioner, right? And I use that time to understand government intimately. I can walk in and out of offices. I have relationships with council members. I've been in company with council members. I've worked for council members, specifically Ward 7 council members, from constituent services to senior advisors. But, you know, another distinguishing thing, it's not about me. It's about the collective community. When I came to Ward 7, Councilmember Chavis was in office, and I learned something very important about Ward 7, that we submit to the authority of the collective community. What is good for the whole is good for the individual. And you know, we're gonna push a little bit, because I think Ward 7 is at a place right now where there's a struggle between the value systems of collective community versus individual achievement. And that's what you'll see also as well, that I believe in collective community. I'm for the good of the whole, not so much so what I can do as an individual achiever, but what I can do for other people in the community.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. So let's turn specifically to education. What experience do you have with education or education policy?
Don't shoot me. I know this video is live and other people are going to watch it, but there's a term coined, education adjacent. and I think I've been education adjacent since I left the classroom. And God has blessed me to see education from all different levels. I think the Reform Act, the Education Reform Act of 2006, at the time where Adrian Fenty had the mandate, he won 143 precincts, and he seized the day and control and went to control the council. I happened to be in the council then, and I remember the feelings and the sentiments and the angst and the anxiety that something had to be done about education. And at that time, the mayor took it upon himself and, you know, rallied his troops in the support and got the council to agree that the mayor should have control of all aspects of education. Not to mention my classroom work in public and charter, not to mention my union work, fighting and protecting teachers, fighting for River Terrace, fighting for Winston, fighting against school closures. I think we lost 6 or 7 schools over the last 10 years. I've been at the forefront of all of that. I understand policy, and I understand that policy is the derivative of law, of legislation. And I also understand that the council right now is operating with the COW method, the committee of the whole, where every last council member can touch education and make a difference, right? Where I see the shortcoming is, I'm not sure if there is a committed effort to make Ward 7 education the priority. I want to do that. I understand how to do that. One of the things that I've been looking at, and I think it's very important in terms of school culture and climate and a learning environment. We heard the principal from Kelly Miller talk. We heard the principal from Sousa talk. There's a law that went into effect in, I think, 2017 by Councilmember Grosso. Chapter 25 is what the school system know it as. And in the spirit of it, it was supposed to keep students in school. It was supposed to keep students in the classroom, especially those challenging students who, for whatever reason, chose to be disruptive. But it seems to have created another problem in the school system. You hear, when you talk to parents, you hear they won't go to our middle schools in Ward 7. They don't want to go to our elementary schools in Ward 7 because they believe that the environment is not conducive to learning because some children may be disruptive. But that's just some of the things that I think about, some of the things that I've been working on, some of the things I want to work on. I've been around long enough to see this thing. I saw the voucher system. I remember sitting with Councilmember Kevin Chavis in his office, and he explained to me how his vision in partnership with Tony Williams, Mayor Williams, was a way to transform education in the District of Columbia, which he's done. And some people disagree with it, some people agree with it. And I think looking at it over the last 20 years, as a DCPS graduate, I think it's a lot better than when I was a student. I graduated from Phelps Vocational High School. At that time, vocational education was where they sent troublesome Black boys. But now, as a participant in the Phelps Alumni Network, now people are choosing to go to Phelps, and students are coming out of Phelps with skills and certifications and getting jobs making 75 to 80, 90,000 straight out of high school. And that's the kind of system we want to keep moving forward, right? That's the kind of fight I want to fight. Those are the things that I think about education, and those are the values and beliefs that I have that I will work for my plan.
Okay, so what is your education platform?
More for 7. I think, Dr. Dean, you've been since meeting you at the Hillcrest Recreation Center, and you have been a champion, a lion for Ward 7 education equity, right? We in Ward 7 have been fighting for HVAC systems in our schools while other communities are getting brand new buildings. We're fighting to reopen schools that were closed for one reason, and we say those reasons no longer exist. And we see new schools, new high schools opening up in other communities with no population. It's if you build it, they will come motto. And here it is in Ward 7, we're begging for crumbs, right? My plan is to fight. It's to fight for the reopening of schools, fight for new schools, fight for supportive resources around the school. You heard earlier, Principal Cox said, it's the environment in which the school lives in that creates some of the problem for our children. What are we doing to fix the environment in which our schools exist in? As a council member, that's my job, right? As a council member, my job is to control the environment, is to look at opportunities to change the environment. We heard that parents need resources and services. As a legislator, that's what you do. You allow money to go to places to make things happen for populations of people over a period of time. That's the job of a council member. That's the job of a legislator, right? Do I want to be bogged down and involved in the day-to-day operations of a school building? No, it's not my place, right? We have a unique opportunity in the District of Columbia to partner with the executive, because that's what the Education Reform Act of 2007 created for us. A way for everybody to cooperate and collaborate and come up with the best ideas and the best solutions to make education in the District of Columbia the best in the country, right? I think sometimes we miss that, right? Sometimes we fight over, well, it should be a chancellor versus a superintendent. It should be a superintendent versus a chancellor. It should be a school board rather than a state board. And I think those things take us away from what is most important. How much money is going to the students learning? How are we creating safe spaces and environments for students to learn? How are we building confidence in the parents to choose Ward 7 schools? Dr. Dean, I heard you earlier. I agree with you. The fight and the focus is on buy right schools, right? It's good somewhat that we can lottery across town, right? Because I think something like 30% of our most talented students from Ward 7 is making other schools look great. How do we get that talent to come home? How do we get that talent to leave and go to Susan Miller, right? Kelly Miller, right? Or Susan, right? Susan has a problem of perception, like you said earlier. 4 elementary schools feed into Susan, and Susan is struggling to maintain its full capacity, right? We have to do something about that. And I say from the legislature, I can be a voice, right? I can be a voice of people. I can use the power and authority and influence of the office to make sure that we can do things differently. We have to make our priorities our priorities. We have to make the main thing the main thing. And the main thing in education is our children.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And stick with me because this is the final question. With mayoral control, council members actually have limited power or authority over education in the district. So how do you plan to effectuate your education platform in that context?
It may sound cliche, but you got to build bridges and connect people. Mayoral control, again, here we go, right? The premise of the question alludes to that there may be a problem with mayoral control, right? I think mayoral control, good or bad, regardless of where you stand, centralizes all things education in one location. And I think when people say mayoral control, they forget the power of the councilman. They forget the power of the council. 13 minds can figure out problems if they want to. How do we make them want to figure out our problems in Ward 7, right? That's what we have to do. Now, understanding the interworkings of the Wilson building, of the DC Council, it's tough, right? We all love North Carolina sausage, right? I love scrapple, right? But the way it's made, if you got a chance to look at how it's made, you might not want to eat it anymore because it can be messy, right? It's gruesome. But as a council member, as a freshman council member, without a committee, I have to be real skilled and strategic, which I am, to leverage my votes on diverse committees, to trade, to barter, to convince, to sway, to build consensus, right? To go into the community and rally busloads of people to council to say, this is what we're going to do, right? And now that Ward 7 is number 2 in age-eligible Democratic voters with 57,000 registered voters, only second to Ward 5 by a few. We have power in numbers now, right? I grew up in a Ward 7 politically that yielded 36%, and some communities had 45, 50%. I know a Ward 7 where you couldn't get elected citywide without coming to Ward 7, right? I happen to have the privilege of serving in one of the communities that you had to come talk to. You could not get by and get in elected office without the community south of Massachusetts Avenue saying, hey, what are you going to do for us, right? So look, mayoral control may present a challenge for some, but it does create unique opportunities for all of us to cooperate and work together. That's what I'm going to continue to do. You know, I have some skills, you know that, Dr. Dean, I have some skills. We have some creative ways to get people on board. But that's the job. That's the work. You know, they have divested in our school systems in Ward 7 for a very long time. Over the last 10 years, we watched a number of schools close, and everybody participated in that, right? Everybody who had a title in the education pipeline turned a blind eye. I guarantee you I won't.
Well, thank you. And as we close this session of 24 to 24, can you just give us your closing remarks? And we have 2 minutes left.
All right, well, first things first, I have some dedicated team members on this call. I hope they put the information in the chat for you all to sign up, connect with us, donate. VJ for Ward 7, VJ FORWARD 7.com. We are out and about. We decided to run. We picked up petitions January 12th. We had 1,000, right, already. We decided to do fair election on Friday. We are collecting funds. We are moving. What I want the people to walk away with is that VJ, Villareal Johnson, is running as a Democrat for DC Council, Ward 7, to make Ward 7 one by building bridges and connecting people to what they need and want so they can access the quality of life and prosperity that they are entitled to as District of Columbia residents.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming to the Ward 7 Education Council, and thank you for.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, and so we are going to continue our conversation. This ends our session for this meeting. We want to go to announcements, and we'll begin with hearing from our state board rep and state board president and Ward 7 rep to hear about what is going on at, hold on one second, trying to find you. I know you're on, or I believe you to be. I think I see you. Okay. So, and let me go ahead. Okay. Thank you. Please share updates.
Good evening. If we have not met, I think I've met most of the people here. My name is Eboni-Rose Thompson. I do represent Ward 7 on the State Board of Education. I also am continuing to serve as the president of the board since I have been reelected in January. A few things that are of importance before the board right now. We have a couple of things that happened in January, which I'm particularly proud of. So one, we passed a resolution on a Green New Deal for schools. That is something you will see a lot of young people probably engaging at the council budget session around. It did come directly from students. They are the ones who pushed us to really write that resolution, both by showing up and sharing with us the principles they want to include and with a lot of engagement from our student advisory committee. So that is one thing we passed in January. A second thing we passed in January, a second resolution we passed in January that I also think is a particularly good one and is actually a solution to a problem someone brought to us is we had a teacher from Czech come to us who noticed that her students who were mothers, due to our attendance policy, had a lot of accommodations, but that the students who are fathers did not. And that often meant that they had more unexcused absences, in addition to not being able to support the mother or the child as part of the family. And so we're recommending a change to the attendance policy to be able to allow things like taking your child to a doctor's appointment being an excused absence. If you're a child father, like the mom shouldn't always be, or the non-birthing parent should be able to support those things as well. So looking forward to working with OSSI to see that actualized. A few things we have in front of the board in February. So our working session is February 7th. It is always the first Wednesday of the month. We will be discussing with OSSI the new school report card. I look forward to being included in the materials from OSSI, a mock-up, if you will, of what the report will look like, in addition to kind of an outline of what OSSI is recommending we include in the resolution. When those materials are often posted about a week before our meeting, for people who do watch the working session, please go and review them. Let us know what you think. I know that at our last working session, one of the things that was particularly important to members and to me is making sure that we're very clear on what the parameters are before we have a vote at our February public meeting. So that is something that the board has been working on for about a year and is coming up. Also, we will be discussing some of the outcomes from our truancy panel that we held in January. People probably have seen in the news most recently. I'm sorry, I have a big dog who's very anxious and all over the place right now. But we in the news in January a lot about the numbers from OSSI around truancy and absenteeism. As a board, we are trying to be, as usual, solutions focused. So we did have a panel, including not just student perspectives, but also providers like communities and schools, several schools who actually have done a really good job with either reducing or maintaining low truancy and chronic absenteeism numbers throughout the pandemic. One which is a Ward 7 school, which is actually my Angelou. And so looking forward to putting forth a resolution similar to what we did with school safety that makes some recommendations and kind of gets the ball rolling around how to support schools, best practices, and any solutions and data we can unearth. So excited about that. The last thing I will say is I sent today a newsletter out. I will make sure to put the link to that in the chat. I am again doing the Future Black History Maker series. So if you know of young people in Ward 7 who are doing great things, all they have to do is fill out the link and we do our best to lift up good things about Ward 7 because there are wonderful things, not just that our schools are doing, but that our students are doing, our teachers are doing, and we have to tell those stories too. Given that, I do want to congratulate, I see Principal Edwards on the call. They had the DCPS State Innovation last night. So I want to congratulate Principal Edwards on being named School Leader of the Year. Elliott Hine was also celebrated for its academic progress. And again, always want to lift up when good things are happening in Ward 7 schools. And since we are going into budget, I would be remiss if I did not share that February 12th at Capitol View Library, 6:30 p.m. I'll be doing my budget engagement session again so that I'm able to write my budget letter to the mayor, which will also be shared with the council members. I include anything that is education, youth related as usual. Please, please, please tell me what should be in that letter. And since we, as the board, changed the community service requirements last year, I can offer community service hours. So any students who attend, I will have forms on hand and I will make sure to fill out their community service hours because them raising their voice is a form of community service and engagement. So that is my report out. I will make sure to put my information in the chat in addition to a couple of links and look forward to connecting with people between now and the next meeting.
Okay, we are almost at time, so I'm gonna take one question because I see one. Dwayne Carr, please, one question.
My apologies, no questions. I just wanted to make a few announcements, but I can wait.
Oh, no, please do that.
Yeah,
We
so just
wanna
quickly,
hear-
I put
okay.
a few links. Sorry for my lighting. I put a few links inside the chat. The first one is for DCPS's next parent university. So this one will be focusing on elementary school children. The goal of this one is to teach parents more about methods to integrate math into children's picture books. Also, school lottery deadlines. Today is the deadline for grades 9 through 12. March 1st will be the deadline for pre-K 3 through grade 8. And then February 6th, Tuesday, February 6th from 12 to 1, the Deputy Mayor for Education's office is holding a virtual boundary and student assignment lunch and learn. And this one will be focused on students with special education needs. So the link to register is there. You can send questions, register, and again, that will be virtual. And all of these links are in the chat as well.
Mr. Carr, if you're going to, because I noticed you have been regularly attending, and we appreciate that. If you're going to attend, just let me know because I
Okay.
can make you an agenda item.
Okay, yeah, I'll be here every month, but I'll shoot you an email
Okay.
to let you know.
Okay, so let's,
Perfect.
because I can put you on the agenda and make time for you on the agenda. Okay, I want to
Thank you.
say thank you to Mr. Carr representing the Community Action Team at DCPS. I want to thank you, Representative Eboni-Rose Thompson for the State Board for sharing these updates. I want to now close us out, remind you that we're still looking for support for Eastern High School for their LSAT. So please reach out to them if you're interested. We continue to ask people to sign up for committees. Reach out to me if you're interested. Someone has approached me about a special education committee. I think that's a great idea to add. So we want to build upon that and get that going. The school advisory, the advisory committee on student assignments, known as the School Boundary Committee, will have its final meeting on February 6th. Go to the DME's office, webpage to sign up, listen. Important conversation happening there. We continue to promote DC Action's oversight and budget parent trainings. We are in oversight and budget season. We want parents to know how to be most impactful and forceful in their testimonies. We are right here. This is the scan for our YouTube channel. So do not, we load every meeting up there. And so we've had all of our high schools come, or those who serve Ward 7 students, GCPS. That includes HD, Eastern, and Anacostia, and Bard. We've also had both two of our middle schools. We need to reach out to Elliott Hine to get them to come. That includes Kelly Miller and Souza. And then we need to start featuring the wonderful work happening at the elementary level. So we want people to know about our schools. We're really proud of them and the work that they're doing. In addition to that, so far for 24-24, we had Vita Rashid, we've had Ibn Allen, we've had Eboni-Rose Thompson, we've had Ebony Payne, we have had Councilwoman Christina Henderson, Councilman Robert White. Tonight you had Kelvin Brown and Villareal Johnson. So we're making our way through. Stick with us. Next month, we're scheduled to have Wendell Felder and Tyrell Holcomb. So, and hopefully we can get Elliott Hine to be our feature school. Principal Christie, yay! It's so excited about what you've and your accolades, and we need to celebrate that. So, Principal Christie Randall Highlands, that is my neighborhood elementary school. Excited for you and the great work that you're doing there, and we need to get you here to talk about it. Okay, with that, we are 5 minutes over. See you next month. It'll be Women's History Month, and until then, be safe and be well. Thank you.